Yeah, now, stand and cheer for your Talking Basketball podcast.
Welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am an idiot. That was painful, wasn't it? That was absolutely painful.
That's one way to do for it. That's one way to do it.
Literally, I've just spent the last 30 minutes trying to work out, because we're in two different studios here, how to get it working. And I couldn't hear Mark in my headphones, and I just realised I had him muted the whole time for 30 minutes trying to diagnose what the problem was. It was my brain.
IT professional, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh dear,
I think
dear.
the technical term I would use for that is picnic.
Yeah, the technical term is your brain is officially already on holiday. It's gone. No, that's it. I'm done. I am on holiday. I'm going away. Done.
We are back with the conclusion of the NBA Cup.
We are. Did you know, first of all, that they on some of the tweets or whatever you call them on Instagram and socials, the NBA have actually referred to it as NBA Cup.
Yeah, I noticed Adam Silver started saying the NBA Cup as well. So, Adam, I know you're listening. So I am more than welcome for that contribution.
Yeah, I mean, NBA Cup just sounds better, doesn't it?
Hey, just change it to the LeBron James Cup now. Change it to the LeBron James Cup. Done.
That will be the trophy name, won't it? As soon as he goes.
Who is the last commissioner as well?
Stern.
David Stern. So it could be David Stern Cup. David Stern. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I mean, yeah, I can. He did a lot.
The David Stern Cup. He was actually talking about that in the press conference. So yeah, I think the tournament was a great success. Knocked it out the park.
Yeah, it was. They what they set out to achieve, what they set out they wanted to do, they did it. It's can't say fairer than that, really, can you?
Yeah, and I do have one criticism before I go on about all the amazingness it was.
Oh, you're going to start with the negative. Okay, that's different. We like it.
And I am speaking on behalf of the tens or hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of listeners who went on NBA. Was it not Press Pass? What was it called?
League Pass.
NBA League Pass to watch the game. So if you watch that on NBA League Pass like I did, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I had, there was three of us watching the game here, and all three of us went, oh, who is that annoying woman screaming constantly in the background? Ah, go LeBron. Ah. Oh, someone move the mic away from her. It was well annoying. It just sounded like a drunken frat girl. And it was like, did you hear that?
Yeah.
It was irritating. It was like the whole game.
They were trying to get some crowd, and I get it, and it's difficult to do a crowd. It's difficult. I don't think people ever appreciate until you start doing anything with sound how much just the tiniest nuance gets picked up, and then you're in these massive. It's in Vegas, and it's a huge arena. So trying to just mic up, we want the crowd sound. That's really, really hard to do.
Yeah, but like mic up from the ceiling or something. Like literally, someone probably just walked on, plonked it, row A, and it just happened to be some really annoying. Oh, it was definitely a woman, but just a really annoying voice.
It was a little shrill.
It was like, shut up every time. But she did it like every other play. It was so annoying. And personally, it distracted me away from the game. It distracted me away from the game because I kept on having these conversations. Oh God, that woman again. Like it was just, again, I don't know for sure, but it just sounded like a drunken squeal all the time.
Drunken squeal.
It was just a little irritating for my liking, Mark. Just a little irritating. But that's my only negative.
That's your only negative.
Yeah, I will speak on behalf of our American listeners. They have a few negatives, but I can see where they're going with some of them. But I think from a British perspective, we would look at it completely different as they. But I'll come on to that later. But I mean, first things first, Lakers had home court advantage of that game. Easily had home court advantage in that game.
Yeah.
It was, I felt a bit for the Pacers because, more people wanted the Lakers to win. And it would have been nice if both teams were being rooted for as much. But look, it's in California, isn't it? So you kind of half expected that, didn't we?
Well, Vegas is Nevada, not California, but
is
it's
it
as close as
yeah, it's on that side of America, isn't it? Same thing. Nevada, California, same thing, isn't it? Are they in two different states? Are they? All right.
You're getting a geography lesson here, folks. Who knew?
Oh, they're close. I know that it's like an hour, isn't it? Like an hour on a plane or something like that? An hour and a half?
About that on a plane.
I remember being in LA and then...
I think it's like a 5 or 6 hour drive. It's not like if not more, it's not like... it's like a... Let's nip to Vegas. It's like half an hour away.
Wow, that's like at least... that's probably like a third to a half of our country.
Yeah.
From LA to Vegas.
Yeah. It would probably be like driving to Manchester or something like that.
Yeah.
That's how long we take.
But, look, I got to say, I loved the look of the medals. When I saw the medals, I loved the medals. That was one of my notes. The medals look brilliant. The main trophy looks amazing as a lifting trophy. Like when you have that.
Yeah, that's a great trophy. That is.
Like
they've done well.
Where you see the proper NBA championship. I don't mean it like that. The proper NBA championship. The proper NBA championship, because it's got that base, they kind of, if you know what I mean, it doesn't look as good as like that NBA Cup lifting that.
No.
And another thing that I was surprised by, and we've said this before, I wasn't a huge fan of the MVP trophy until he turned it. So the angle we've had of that has been like what we'd have on, like the chocolate wedge. Like we'd look at like chocolate wedges from Terry Chocolate Orange.
It looks nice, doesn't it?
But when he turned it, you could see like the blackness on like the different what do you call it? Bits of pie, segments, yeah. And almost looks like a little ball. So in LeBron's house, if I was him, I'd have it, but I'd have it turned so it looks like the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's almost as if they've done that on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it. I don't know why they just don't make it a ball, but yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, it was great.
Well, I think the ball one was the one for the all team.
Yeah, I still didn't understand that. I was waiting for a ball to come out. I didn't see it, and I thought, have I missed that? But what's the all team?
If you are, it's like the top 5 players basically per position. So if you're number 1 through 5, and they just released that. It's one of the gripes I've got of it.
So who won the ball trophy?
Hang on, I've got that here somewhere. I think it was LeBron, Davis, Halliburton, Durant.
Sorry, so what was the ball trophy for? Is it an individual award?
No, it's called the All Tournament Team Award, I think it is.
Oh.
And it's basically the top 5 players in their respective positions, essentially. And I just thought it's a pointless award. I just saw it and I thought, okay, I get what you're trying to do here, but ultimately it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you were the best. Durant got one of them. And you go, yeah, but he played well, he did. But his team wasn't in the final, so why is he getting an award?
His team wasn't in the semi-finals.
No. So he's the best person in his position playing in the league.
I guess like the equivalent would be like in football would be like the golden boot or the golden glove or something like that. in a basketball day. I'm assuming it's like best defender, best rebounder, rest. I guess maybe I've got that wrong. I didn't really get that. I didn't see a ball. I was waiting to see a ball, but it was like, okay. But look, it was a great game, and
I think they called it the All Tournament Team Award, and that was the one that was it was like a black ball.
Yeah, I know the trophy. I just didn't know what it was for.
Yeah, it still doesn't make sense, to be perfectly blunt. It's just a bit like,
yeah, they
really
can get rid of that. But I think this is the last time you're going to hear the in-season tournament. In-season tournament. I think next year it's going to be the NBA Cup. And when LeBron
I'd like to think
retires, I think it could be the LeBron James Cup. Or the LeBron James MVP award.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting that they are... I don't think they would do it with Stern, as much as we said, that'd be cool. I just don't think they would, because
they want to
do a lot for.
They definitely want to. Adam
I know
Silver
they want to do
was saying
something
in the press conference. He goes, because they were talking about the MVP, and then he was saying, I don't think some people were saying it's not big enough for him. Like it needs to be a significant award to have his name on it.
Yeah, and I think they could be right. I just would go with LeBron's won it now. It would kind of wrap up nicely. Like, love him or hate him, I don't think anyone hates LeBron, but whether you can appreciate, you got to respect him as a player and everything he's done, and he's moved that blueprint on from Jordan. Really, he's taken everything that Jordan is as a player and gone, I'm a 6'9" version of that.
Hey,
and I'm adding.
He's got something Jordan's not got now.
He's got something he hasn't got.
But
and he's first person in history to lift it.
How amazing would it be if Jordan comes back? He comes back and he said, "I'm coming out of retirement for that NBA Cup." And
no, he's never doing that. He's never doing that. I mean, I'm sure Jordan can still run rings around us, but yeah, he's not coming back anytime soon.
Well, look, it was a huge tournament. Sorry, final for Anthony Davis. I mean, you've been quite critical of him coming up into this game, but he made an impression. He must have made an impression. He ended with 41 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 blocks.
Yeah, he did, and he was absolutely dominant. And there's a good few takeaways. One of them being that he was dominant on defense, and whenever Davis is dominant in defense, you could see it on his face, and he was just swatting things left and right. He then went up the other end of the court, and in the paint, he never threw up a three. He never tried anything like that. He was just in that paint, and he owned it. No other player on that court owned the paint. It was him, only him, and that's why he did exactly what he should do as a big. 16 for 20 something, 24 shooting, I think it was. I mean, you couldn't argue
like that. I did write that down, but I can't find it.
Everyone was
16 for 24.
There we go. I remembered. But he did say, even some of the I can't remember who he was talking to, and someone made a comment about, this is AD 2020, because he played like this when they were in the bubble, from the COVID bubble, and everyone was talking about it then, and that's when the Lakers won their tournament. The trophy. And everyone was saying, he was, and he was playing like this again. And you go, because he's got it. But the next 2 seasons, he was really inconsistent and had a lot of issues. You can argue with fatiguing, and that's a whole conversation. But the reality is, he turned up for this tournament. I won't say he won that game. I think it's pretty fair to say, but he made sure that the lead was never in question. Yeah,
I mean, without him, they didn't win that game. I don't think. Like he said, I'm quoting him here. We feed off each other. Thursday, LeBron had it going. Tonight, it was me. Without him, I mean, look at the rest of the Laker players. LeBron clearly had a great game. Reeves, what a contribution he made. You also had some contributions from Russell and Reddish. The exception of that, those five,
the joke about
it's quite
Reeves?
night.
Have you seen the joke about Reeves where they're talking about because he had the flu, and so he was in bed, and they were saying who had the best flu, MJ or AR?
I mean, who knows? I think in 10 years' time, when the Reeves story comes out about how bad he was, I mean, we all heard the last dance with Jordan. He gets the pizza and he gets food poisoning. Well, it's not the flu game. He had food poisoning, wasn't it?
Yeah, but
It was that pizza.
that's what they're saying.
But
They were
look,
calling him the flu game at that point,
you're
weren't they?
unwell, and you go and get 28 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. What a contribution you've made to that game. You know,
it's a shame he doesn't get. It's not that he doesn't get the hype, but he doesn't get the maybe recognition for how good he is. He's putting in the same stats and the same numbers as people like Halliburton, and for some reason he when he's getting hype, but in a different way. I think it's just quite interesting.
Your third wheel.
Yeah, he is, but he's third wheel to one of the most dominant players who's been ever in the game, and Davis, who's clearly one of the best centers in the game. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, it was a great game.
If you're putting in those numbers still, that means you're still getting the ball. But that's where I'm. If you were on a team with James Harden, you're not touching the ball. If you're not, look at the Clippers at the moment. No, it's just. So yeah, I think those guys did well, but I
you know what I do like? I like during the game where whoever the commentator was, he looked on the TV and he was like, if you have a TV graphic come up with the Lakers, you've had a great game. And then they had this image come up, and I can't remember who the other guys were, but it was like, Alan Baylor and Chamberlain, that's who it was. He goes, look, you got anytime a graphic comes up, you've had a good night. But I mean, look, let's arguably he was the best player of the final. And I heard a few people having a little bit of gripe saying LeBron shouldn't have won it, the MVP trophy. But however, I disagree with that. When you look at LeBron, AD, Reeves, you got to consider all 7 games. Games. And LeBron, 26.4 points per game. Anthony Davis, 23.3. Reeves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
you can argue when you talk about rebounds. It's LeBron's beating him. Field goal percentage, LeBron's beating him. Free throw percentage, Anthony Davis is beating him. But when you look at that whole picture and how he's performed over the 7 games, LeBron is the easily the MVP, I thought. But without any of them, no one wins it. None of them win it without all the group.
No, it was, and I think it's I think also it's worth. You've got to pay respect to Halliburton, who getting after his transfer out and coming to Indiana, and he just was absolutely steady. He didn't. You think young guy playing, he led the team. And he not only led the team, but he was consistent. You get your 25 points, you're getting no turnovers, you're getting some steals in there, and you're getting some rebounds. And he really just became this, that's the light. And there's a great picture, I can't remember who's taking it, but there's LeBron with his, and you're seeing LeBron from behind, and he's looking at Halliburton, and you kind of go, not as in a passing torch moment, I'm not getting like that, but you could see it's like someone, there's one person who's leading his franchise, and there's the other person who leads his franchise, and when you see them in the picture, you go, yeah, you actually don't argue with that, and that's respect to him, because he's sort of developed into that position.
I think
and for
forget.
Indiana now, it's exciting that they go, we've got a franchise player now.
Yeah, and Halliburton was a all-star last season. I don't think people have forgotten about that quite quick, but it's not like, wow, where's it? He was an all-star last year, so the league definitely acknowledged his ability last season.
But it's all about small market, big market teams. We always go back and forward with that. And you have someone like Lakers, it's big market. It's the second, third largest franchise in the NBA. Depending on who's the champion, etc., that comes into play. But the Lakers, Knicks, and whoever's the champion are usually the biggest earners of that season. And yeah, he's done so well. There was a really good quote from like Rick Carlisle, who's the coach there, and they were just talking about what's coming next and everything. And they're like, well, it's exciting because we've almost say validated that we've got the right player and we're actually a team that can compete. And I wouldn't say if you take away from this tournament, but when you look at what's coming up next, the Lakers have got 7 road games next, and the Pacers have got 4 road games next. So it's kind of like, well done, congratulations, guys, you won. Get back on the bus, off we go.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of forget like that. So when people are asking, wow, is this like a sign of what's going to happen in the future, or what about the playoffs? And I think it was even LeBron's chipped in and been like, well, May is like a long way off. There's a lot of basketball's going to happen between,
But this is
these
why
teams.
it's good being this time of year, because but like from the English perspective, this is like standard in football. Like 1 week you've got the FA Cup, 2 days later you got a Champions League, and then you've got like Premier League 4 days later. Oh, then you got the Carling Cup. I think teams like Manchester City, Man United, all the top teams, Portsmouth Football Club, all those teams are at the top. They're going to be playing. Sometimes be playing. I slip that thing, little comments like that in quite a lot. All those big teams, they sometimes play like 4 games in 10 days. That's fairly, it happens. So yeah, you get chucked out of a tournament, you win a tournament, bang, you're back on the road. So
that really frames part of the arguments that people have had, where at the beginning they said, what's the point in the tournament? And if you had to sum up the tournament, it brought not aggressiveness, but it brought real sort of passion into a lot of these players. The Lakers and the Pacers are both middle of the road in terms of where they are sort of in the leagues and stuff. They're doing okay. They're not the top of the tables, but every single one of those tournament games there was no one who played in the tournament who didn't go crazy. So LA are 5th, and then when you go to the Pacers, they're both 5th. But a lot of those wins have come from the tournament. If you took away the tournament wins, they'd actually be down in sort of like 8th, 9th, playing sort of maybe even less.
And again, this is why it's normal for us to look at it, because we look at things like cup competitions in football, and this is normal. And I know what you're saying, and I wrote this point down. So, and this is what some of the people are trying to, I guess, discredit the cup itself, because they're like saying, LeBron, they didn't play Denver. Okay, well, Denver didn't qualify into the quarterfinals. These guys can only play the team that's in front of them. If Denver were performing in those 4 games, well, they'd have been there, but they weren't. They lost 1 or 2 or whatever it was. So this is the run-in the Lakers had to win. So they played Phoenix, Memphis, Portland, Utah. That was in the group stage. Now, if I say this as far as current league standings, so at the moment the Lakers are 5th in the league. They played Phoenix, they're 7th. They played Memphis, 13th. Portland, 14th. And the Utah Jazz are currently 12th. In the quarterfinal, they played Phoenix Suns again, who are 7th in the league. In the semi-final, they played the Pelicans, who are 10th in the league. And in the final, they had the Pacers, who are 5th in the league. So this is where people are arguing, saying, hang on, the Lakers, they've won something. But I get what they're saying. They haven't played a top 4 team currently in the West. But you can say the exact same thing for the Pacers. Almost. I do have a but here, and this is why I hope they did it. The Pacers beat Cleveland. So Pacers are currently 5th. Pacers beat Cleveland, 6th in the league. They beat Philly, 4th in the league. Atlanta, 10th. Detroit, 15th. So I do think the Lakers are playing teams lower down, but not that much. You got 4th, 6th, 10th, 15th. Okay. Now, this is the but. In the quarterfinals, they take on the team at the top, Celtics, number 1. Yeah. Semi-final take on Milwaukee Bucks, currently 3rd. The only team they didn't run into were the Orlando Magic. And then they lose to the Lakers in 5th. So the Pacers actually, beat the Celtics, beat the Bucks, beat Philly, beat Cleveland. They've actually played for the top 6 teams.
Yes.
And one of them, whereas the Lakers, they didn't actually play a top 4 at all in either conference. So when you say it like that, you go, all right. So, yeah. But, again, that's what is the beauty about cup competitions, because to be fair to Lakers, you can only play the team that's in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, they also won all 4 of their first games, and convincingly won it, because they decided, as soon as this cup came out, I think it's very fair to say they decided, we're going to win this, we're going for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other teams, like Dallas, put no effort at all into try and win this cup. It was very, very clear. And
no one cares about Dallas.
Well, I think it was a mistake. And you see other teams, and some of the other teams that you thought they actually, I think they played the first game and thought, not sure. Played the second game, we're like, oh, this is quite interesting. And then by the third game, they were all thinking, yeah, we want to maybe actually qualify now. And by that point, you were either 1 or 2 games in ahead, or you had a deficit, and you go, well, it's too late now. You there's no point worrying about it. The fact that it counts towards where you sit in the division, that's important. But actually, because of the points difference sort of thing, and that's one of the gripes that people had on how much bearing there was on scoring too much.
Yeah, well, look, you can't lose. You lose one game, you're in trouble. You can definitely see that in the East, for sure. In the West, more teams are beaten. And that would make you arguably say the West is more difficult to qualify.
Exactly, but it makes it more cutthroat, which I thought the people watching would want. But actually, they're more like, oh, no. Oh, it just seems unfair that someone's got through because of points. You go, yeah, it's just the nature of any sport. Score more points.
Well, don't forget a few of the teams in the quarterfinal, especially. I think was it 4 teams went 4-0, and then the rest were 3-1, weren't they? I think.
Yeah.
I have to look at it.
And you had like Phoenix and who were like wild cards and stuff. But you just think all of those teams, did they benefit from this cup? That's the bottom line. Did they benefit? Yes. Did all the viewers benefit? Yes. Was the basketball more entertaining? Arguably, yes.
Yeah, I think it was a very successful tournament, and
people were getting frothy. They were really trying.
You start saying quarterfinal, semi-final. That's when people are like, whoa.
And then when they went to Vegas and they walked past that cup and they went, oh, it's a real trophy, and this is a real thing, and we're doing something real. They all got a little bit, and everything changed then, and people were really, really up for, I need to win. And
I think it shows, and this is what I like, it's the romanticism about it. Anyone can win a cup. When you go and play, a series of 7 games, okay, lots can happen in that series. When it's one game, anything can happen. And that's why you got the top 4 teams in the West didn't qualify. You've got Orlando. They only lost 1 game, didn't qualify. So, yeah, I mean, just a contrast of something that is very relatable is in English football, we have the FA Cup final. Now, in 2000, when was it? 2008, 2009, Portsmouth won the FA Cup. That is what people remember. We won the FA Cup in 2008-2009 season, and then through that we progressed into Europe. What people don't know is
Is that
who
we
we
fell
played
off a cliff?
to win the final. Sorry, who we played to win the tournament. I tell you what, just to make this point, I'll go and find it out. But we pretty much had, I mean, a lot of people are going to disagree with what I say. But we had a very nice run-in.
It is worth mentioning, we haven't mentioned it yet, but the score was 123-109. So the Lakers won by 14 points, and it was pretty convincing. Just to throw it out there, because I don't think we tied that up. But yes, a very, very good tournament and a very, very good finals. If you haven't watched it, I do suggest going and watching it, and try not watching just the highlights. Actually watch, even if you're watching 10 minutes of the 10-minute games. I can't remember who does that. It might be NBA, the app, where they do that condensed game, and it's about 10, 11 minutes long. So you get kind of the best 2 or 3 minutes from each quarter. Watch that. It's worth a punt. You get to see how, I guess, how everyone wanted it. And the Pacers were playing as though they actually thought they had it, you know. So,
Well, here you go, Mark. Look, I found it now. I found it. So here's Portsmouth's running to win the FA Cup. In the third round, so we were in the Premiership at that point. In the third round, we beat Ipswich Town. Okay?
Yep.
In the fourth round, we beat Plymouth Argyle from the Championship. Let's keep going down. Oh, in the next round, Preston North End. So
all of these people are just basically rubbish.
We haven't even played someone in the Premiership yet. Now, in the quarterfinals, we got Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Okay.
That's as bad as it's going to be.
Yeah.
When we say, just look at the Manchester United team in 2008, and Pompey won 1-0 with scoring a penalty in the 70th minute. Funny story, I was actually playing, I had tickets for that game, and I had a National League basketball game for Portsmouth, and it wasn't even in question what I was going to do. It's like, well, I've got a National League game, can't go. Simple as that. Over Portsmouth away, and Manchester United in the quarterfinals FA Cup. And you know, rest in peace, Mickey Byrne. He was driving the bus. This was on the way back from the game, and he was always soft spot for anything Portsmouth. And I just heard him, good out, and it was like, yeah, Mick, and he was like, Pompey just got a penalty in the 70th minute. It's 0-0, and I was like, what? And in those days, the Portsmouth team, half the team was Portsmouth, half the team was Southampton, even though it was Portsmouth. And he turned it right up, and all the Southampton guys are going, God, turn this crap off, Mick. Turn it. Anyway, I listened to the goal go in, and then he kind of had it on half volume so I could listen to the rest of the game. Anyway, so they beat Man United away 1-0. I mean, what a result that was. Semi-final, they played West Bromwich Albion, a championship team. And in the FA Cup final, we played Cardiff City. Again, a championship team, I think, from what I remember. They might have been bottom of the Premiership. I can't remember. I mean, it's going back 15 years. However, that is my point. Going back through history, no one looks at people, all the Pompey fans will go back and go, oh, we beat Man United in the quarterfinals at Old Trafford. That validates that trophy for the Portsmouth fans. However, no one goes back to all those championship teams we played in every other round or League One size. And that's exactly what's happened here with the Lakers, more so than the Pacers. Definitely more so than the Pacers, actually, where they're just beating the next team in front of them. But I love that because it's like the FA Cup. You have that romanticism about it where it is true. Anyone can win because every game is game 7.
And there's something to throw some water on your romanticism.
Oh, well.
Was one of the reasons that they were holding the cup at this point is because they want to build more momentum to quell people saying that they're resting players. But one of the other things happened to be that all of the negotiations for all of the media contracts are all up in sort of December, January. So it's funny, isn't it? It's just a perfect timing. So when someone says, hey, NBC or TNT or ESPN or Sky, who wants to buy the rights for next year's in-season tournament? Raise your hands.
NBA Cup. Look, Mark, when you go to a job interview, you wear a suit.
Okay.
You want to look nice.
I mean, yeah, I would want to. I'd wear shorts underneath the suit, but yeah.
there is another element to this, is what else is happening at this time of the year. They want to turn this into like the Super Bowl. It's the NBA Cup. Everyone's watching it, whether you're a fan or of a team or not. Everyone's watching it. That's what they want to do. That will be like the dream. This is the NBA equivalent of the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
look,
I mean,
they've done it well.
The thing is, they have the All-Star game, and then they have the final, and nothing's going to take away from the playoffs. That's their big tamale, isn't it? But where the All-Star game sort of lost its way a little bit, this has definitely put a lot of interest back. And listened to a few podcasts, and a lot of people have been saying maybe change the courts. They're not always big fans of them, or maybe change a little bit or tweak a bit here. Or
I think the problem with the courts is the paint.
It's just a bit bright.
No, they're saying that it's slippery. Some of the teams are saying it's slippery. And that was saying Adam Silver was saying, if you've not seen the press conference, listen to the press conference. It's like a 30-minute interview. It was really interesting. But he said at some point in it that there has been some complaints about people slipping up because of the paint.
There has been a few more people finding their way to the floor, haven't there? But I guess you can't have that amount of colour over the wood without some sort of compromise there. So I guess they either find a way to stain it, or they have just less colour, or maybe they do. I don't know if you remember what they did in the bubble. They did something where everyone had some crazy courts, and they just had like a third option for a court, and that's how they played. And then all the courts went to Disney, and then they put all those courts out, and they were using those. But that's another option. Maybe, I mean, they have. You've got to give them credit. They've tried something, and that's bold. You can't get much more bolder than, we're going to make a purple court, and people are going to be running around with bright shirts, and they couldn't have gone more balls out with a trial if they could. We're going to do something that we've never done, and that's it. So you got to respect them for that.
Yeah, I would have loved it if, I think, for me, if the Pacers won it, would have been great. It would have been nice if it was closer at the end as well.
Yeah.
It
was an emphatic win. It was an emphatic win. But, at the end of the day, LeBron sort of, I might say, seals his legacy in terms of he's won a chip that MJ isn't going to get, and that's got to make him happy.
There was a pacer who was injured as well. I can't remember which one. Wasn't there a pacer who was a really good defender? I can't remember.
Yeah, I just don't think that would have made a difference.
Jalen Smith. I'm not sure. There was one that thought, that's interesting, but the Pacers had arguably the harder run to get to that final. But look, it is what it is, and I think it's done well. It's done well.
Pacers are playing on Wednesday. They're playing the Bucks. So they're the ones that they knocked out to get to the final, and that's when Halliburton was doing the old Dame time and saying, "Hey, look, I've just got your number." So they're going to be going to Milwaukee for that one, and you go, "All right, you got a road game now. That's maybe not going to end well for them." But
I will put, actually maybe not, I should say it, but I am very strongly saying that the next time the Pacers and the Lakers meet up, the Pacers will win. I think they will win by double digits.
So what's going to happen with specifically LeBron and AD over these next, let's call it till New Year, for example, seeing what's going to happen over the next 2 or 3 weeks, that'll be interesting because they've gone pretty hard in these games. Like, I think maybe utilization-wise, they've probably put in more minutes than maybe they were hoping to. I know LeBron did a couple of 38-minute games as well, and
it'll have an effect. But like LeBron said, it's a long way away. 5 months away.
Well, that's it. So, and we're talking May for the playoffs. So if you think at the moment they're almost quarter of the way through a season, and they've just had this massive ramp up, towards sort of like that end of that first quarter. If you imagine this was a basketball game and you said last minute of that quarter, you've got to go flat out. Right now, you've got to play 3 quarters. It's like, okay, that's going to ruin my pacing. And that's kind of what they've just done, really. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see the effect that's going to have on.
Let's see what happens
going forward.
Let's see what happens.
What a great tournament. What a great tournament.
And it ends this little segment of shows, doesn't it? You know what, Mark? I've got a gift. I've got a gift to anyone who's made it this far. I got a gift. I'm going to send you this. No one can see it, but you can. This is the new version of my phone.
There's a fanfare for you.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you that. You put that on Instagram or whatever it is, and that is a gift from me to all the listeners. That you can. It's like a what do you call it? A desktop, like a wallpaper for your phone. But it's a talking basketball podcast wallpaper for your phone. I have got it on mine. Look, Mark, you can verify that, can't you?
It is on your phone.
I try to get it so it looks like a basketball court floor with the logo on it.
Yeah.
But there's so I've taken that. So Mark, I'm going to send that. I'm going to send that to you now.
Lovely.
And then whack out there for the listeners.
So you can remove all the pictures of your pets, remove the pictures of your family and your loved ones, your friends or your favorite teams, and replace that with this image.
With this image, yeah. Talking basketball podcast. Here you go. I think it's that one. That one? Oh no, it's not that one. It is that one. There it is. Boom. Over to you, Mark.
Nice. Well, I'm going to edit that out.
Why?
No, I'm joking.
Fans want to hear it. Not fans.
No, they don't.
People
they don't want to hear an old man trying to work his phone out. But
right.
yeah, that does bring this cup to an end. But for the NBA coming up, obviously there's loads of games coming up. But for our next cup, in brackets, would actually be a trophy. And it's the BBL trophy. And that's going to take place in January.
Yeah, that's coming next.
So if you want your basketball...
The BBL show, right?
Yep, that's going to be on the BBL show. So we'll talk about that there. But there is another cup coming up. So everyone listening, go and check that out. But until next time, I guess we'll have to cut that from this point. So thank you for listening. And I'm not going to do it fast this time because you told me off for going too quickly. So thank you for listening to the show. If you haven't listened to all the other ones, go back and check them out. We're on lots of different platforms. Spread the word, share it with all your friends and family, and tell everyone to listen to us. And we really appreciate all the listens. So I've been Mark.
I've been Paul. And I just want to say, there's no badminton cup, is there?
No.